It's no secret that Silent Hill has its share of horrifying creatures and monstrosities. Many of these are the result of a person's traumatic memories intertwined with their repressed feelings. Regardless, every single one of them is fairly tragic and messed up. So let's take a look at 15 of the creepiest here. Abstract Daddy, Silent Hill 2. Located within the labyrinth, the Abstract Daddy is arguably one of the most disturbing creatures in Silent Hill lore. Essentially, two bodies stuck on a portrait of skin moving on four legs, it's a representation of the abuse that Angela Orozco faced. It's also implied to have some connection to James Sunderland's own frustration. Lying Figure, Silent Hill 2. At first glance, the lying figure seems to be a grotesque thing with arms constrained. It spits poisonous mist from its opening in its chest, but on closer inspection, its face appears to have a zipper. The lying figure seems to represent James's wife, appearing as a monster to herself and as a nuisance to her husband. This just goes back to James's own rooted frustration, which led him to eventually suffocating his wife. Monocle Man, Silent Hill Downpour. By all comparisons, the Monocle Man is probably the least traumatizing monster in Silent Hill lore, and he's essentially a face's skin held aloft by hooks and chains, with the key defining feature being his one eye and searchlight that looks like a monocle. Apparently meant to be a boss at some point, the Monocle Man is relegated to abusing Murphy and shining a spotlight, as it were, on his past deeds. VALTIEL, Silent Hill 3. VALTIEL is an interesting creature. Debuting in Silent Hill 3 and pretty much invulnerable, VALTIEL gives off the appearance of a butcher with a featureless face sporting stitches around the mouth area. He's constantly pursuing Heather, even moving her body somewhere else if she dies. Otherwise, he drags and hangs nurses, turns valves as the otherworld shifts, and is generally sadistic. Pyramid Head, Silent Hill 2. The most iconic monster in the Silent Hill franchise, Pyramid Head is influenced by VALTIEL, his executioner attire and massive cleaver serving as a complement to the latter's butcher's robe. With a form that changes depending on the beholder, Pyramid Head's existence in Silent Hill 2 is meant to punish James Sunderland. For all intents and purposes though, Pyramid Head also represents James's frustration, as seen in his actions with the mannequins. His inability to see can also be interpreted as James's unwillingness to actually accept the terrible things he's done, until later, that is. Memory of Alessa, Silent Hill 3. Since Heather is essentially the reincarnation of Alessa Gillespie, the source of much grief in Silent Hill, it's a given that she comes face to face with the latter. The memory of Alessa is more of a manifestation though, acting to stop the being in Heather from resurrecting. Her black hair and burned appearance, coupled with her strange movement, belies the suffering her real self has undergone, further reflected in a message where she wishes for a more gentle and peaceful death. The One Truth, Silent Hill 4: The Room. The One Truth functions much like the Wheelman, but does more damage and has several decoys or dummies to fool the player. It, along with its dummies, is just hanging outside of a frame of flesh, as if blocking one's view of the truth. Synonymous with the Order and how it forbids any other truth but its own, defeating the One Truth is the key to learning the unpleasant truths behind the antagonist, Walter. Pendulum, Silent Hill 3. Heather Mason's struggle as the reincarnation of Alessa is perfectly captured in this monster. The pendulum consists of two connected human torsos, with blades on its heads and blades for legs, creaking towards Heather at a fast pace. The worst part is that more than one can attack at a time, and will be encountered in various locations like the construction site, streets, underpass, lakeside amusement park, and so on. Closer, Silent Hill 3. The Closer first appears as little more than a brutish, slow-moving monster with large, clubbing arms that can also sprout blades. However, closer inspection indicates that there are lips on its head along with a feminine figure. While it can be a reminder of Alessa's abuse at the hands of her mother, there's a larger undercurrent of the arms being fused with shopping bags, hence their enlarged fists. The Closer is thus thought to be a manifestation of greed, particularly with regards to consumerism, which could also be twisting Heather's enjoyment of shopping into something infinitely more harmful in the long run. Split Head, Silent Hill. Though Silent Hill 2 is talked about more, the first game had its fair share of disturbing horrors as well. The Split Head is one, being a large lizard-like creature that opens up its head into two massive jaws. Found in the Otherworld version of Midwich Elementary School's boiling room, its lore involves a lizard that tried to swallow a hunter in a single bite. It's suggested that Alessa read this story in school and upon hearing the boiler would imagine it to be the same lizard. Once again, thanks for nothing, Alessa. Sepulcher, Silent Hill Homecoming. There's nothing quite like facing a boss born from someone burying their son alive to appease the Order and their entity. The sepulcher hangs from the ceiling via wires, with its lower torso symbolizing a tree trunk. Upon disconnecting, it starts to resemble a corpse, with its mouth having some strange black ooze. Its name is even taken from the term vivis sepulcher, which means burying someone alive. Bubblehead Nurse, Silent Hill 2. The Bubblehead Nurse is a combination of several troubled thoughts of James Sunderland. Its outfit indicates James's frustration, while its wrapped face evokes the death of his wife. The name itself, Bubblehead, is used to denote a foolish or empty-headed person, which could indicate how James felt towards the doctors and nurses when Mary was sick. Doublehead, Silent Hill 3. The dog dancing meme strikes again, except this one is a manifestation of Alessa's fear of dogs and the dual personalities inside Heather. Much like the split head, the Doublehead's head will split in the middle. The difference is that each half of its head is a dog in itself, and will even yelp twice once attacked. Due to being burned, once again from Alessa's memories, the Doublehead is covered in bandages. Wheelman, Silent Hill Downpour. Silent Hill Downpour's story is tragic in a number of ways, mainly regarding Frank Coleridge and protagonist Murphy. Due to a deal gone wrong, Coleridge, a corrections officer who believed in Murphy being a good man, would be horribly stabbed and left in a vegetative state. This manifests as the Wheelman, representing Murphy's guilt and being the major boss of the campaign. Though seen throughout the game as an emaciated man in a wheelchair, the boss version is a large, mutilated corpse with life support tubes sticking out that attacks with a giant fist and lightning. Lisa, PT. If you've never found Lisa from PT, the early demo for the canceled Silent Hills game, to be creepy, then you were braver than most. According to a report on the radio in-game, Lisa was brutally murdered by her husband, shot in the right eye and then in the stomach while pregnant. While her husband was arrested, Lisa remains in the house, perpetually haunting the protagonist as she twitches terribly in her half-crying, half-laughing tone, until she appears behind the player and twists his neck with inhuman strength, killing him in the process. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from Gaming Bolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.